NCX.com is Canada's leading e-tailer for anything your mind desires. Just keep within those categories, which are plenty, and get tempted by their weekly deals. FYI, Black Friday is coming. Visit NCX.com for all them sweet deals. So tempered glass and RGB are the latest trends for PC cases, and it's a clever move for companies to upgrade their most popular offerings to keep consumers happy, and that is exactly how the Crystal series from Corsair was born. And we've got the 460X RGB on the review table today. Priced at $139, it's a $40 premium over the 400C that share the same frame, but there are a few significant differences that may justify the price increase. First of all, tempered glass. It's on the main side that everyone loves to see, but it's also now at the front that gives this unique look to all visible angles and shows the RGB goodness of those 3 intake fans. And I actually quite like this approach that gives some illumination to your build but without overdoing it, and lighting control is done through the top I/O that cycles between color, speed and mode, and to achieve this we have a pre-installed hub beside the power supply and an additional lighting controller at the front. It is adding a bit too many stock cables, but at least they are cleaned up by default, and I want to clarify that you will still need to connect the fans to your motherboard, as the hub plus the lighting controller are for lighting only. And by the way, the I/O still only has 2 USB ports, PR buttons and audio. The lighting is very basic with breathing mode, flickering or color cycle mode, plus 3 speeds. I'm just happy the colors are vibrant and accurate, with LED concentration in the center of the fan with a little bit of spill into the blades. It's a bit misleading how you see the fans on the product page, but the most vibrant color is the dark blue that fills the blades to the most part, but the rest are much more muted. So moving on, the frame on the 460X is slightly different from the 400C. The support angle at the bottom has been significantly reduced in size, and I think this is to allow radiators to fit sideways into the case easier. Structurally, it feels the same though. Without the side panels on, there is a bit of flex, but with the case closed, it's totally fine. And we see 2 more changes. First, the frame around the PCI slots is now closed off, unlike on the 400C where the frame would accommodate like a screwdriver being used without any issues, which unfortunately is now changed with the holes that are less convenient to use. And the second thing, the rear side panel no longer has the self-catching screws. It's a weird omission that should not have been changed. You have 4 thumb screws to mount the glass panel, and you gotta be careful not to lose the tiny rubber pieces that stay with the glass, and generally this is not a comfortable panel to work with at all. There's nothing on the frame that holds the glass, and I prefer tiny rods that catch the panel, and we see this all the time like on Dark Base Pro 900, the Phanteks Evolve TG or the S340 Elite. All have some way to support the panel before the thumb screws come in. As for the front panel, it is spaced out and open on both sides for airflow, and there are also 4 screws that you need to remove to access the glass or the dust filter behind it, which spans the full intake area and is really fine. That's great to see. And here you can install a 360 radiator or dual 140mm fans. The intake with those 3 fans though is fantastic, but no exhaust fans are included, so that definitely needs to be user populated. A magnetic dust filter at the top is present. I love the non-intrusive design with offset mounting locations for those dual 120 or 140mm fans, but given the low height of the case, I couldn't mount anything other than low profile RAM to fit with my H100i V2 at the top. They could have squeezed the fan mounting locations even closer to the panel to allow higher RAM to be used with the top radiator, but no luck with this upgrade. Also, interestingly, I could feel how much air was being bounced back into the case from my top exhaust. And look at the power difference of the airflow with and without the top dust filter. I didn't measure the temperature differences, but I certainly could feel a lot of turbulent air around the radiator. And so this is where the modular internals can come in handy, like a removable hard drive cage if you are not using it, or place it further away from the front to gain extra space for the radiator without losing that drive capacity. And I love the second power supply shroud to cover up these components on the floor, and you just have to make sure to connect all your cabling after the second shroud is installed. Coming to the back, the plastic drive mount in the middle is kind of bulky and limits the use of the space for cable management, and thus everything has to be guided around it. It's definitely not the prettiest solution, and especially since the SSD cables facing up, they're not easy to clean. Furthermore, the spring mechanism on the SSDs is too strong, causing all of my drives to just pop out of their plastic clips, and that's something to keep in mind. But overall, I like the frame. It's appropriately spacious for a mid-tower. You have options on how to set up your water cooling if you're going that route. I particularly like the dual shroud panel for the power supply and the two-piece tempered glass that stands out from many other tempered glass cases, despite the uncomfortable nature of its mount. And while there are positive changes to the frame, like that corner piece at the bottom, I still don't understand why they had to change the rear side panel and its screws and the frame around the PCI slots for the worse. The 460X RGB is a pretty upgrade over the 400C, and it sure follows what customers are asking for, and the price premium is heavily influenced not by the glass itself, but those SP120 RGB fans too, because they are $20 a piece. Ultimately, I would like to see more refinement to what Corsair is doing right, and these new crystal cases should guide them in the right direction as long as they focus on fixing what's not working instead of changing things that should be left alone. And that concludes the Corsair 460X RGB review. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more crystal case coverage, and we'll see you in the next video.